Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Welcome, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, coming to you from the family-friendly LegacyCast bunker here in North Texas. I have a very interesting guest with me today, Randy Mortensen. And Randy is going to be talking to you about a bunch of different things, what his version of legacy is. But in addition to that, Randy is someone who comes with a very interesting past, one I can understand in parts of. From a personal level, but also with his business in the space of compulsive and destructive behaviors. So that's something that as a veteran myself, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of the destructive behaviors that's going on in our veteran community. Compulsive behaviors, different dependencies and whatnot. So there's going to be a lot of relevance here because we do have as you guys know a lot of listeners here. Are from the veteran space. And so, I hope that this is able to reach out and, impact some people, give you some insights. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guest this morning, Randy. Welcome to the program.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to share a bit of what's going on in my world and what I'm passionate about.
Great. It's certainly a pleasure and honor to have you here. And from what I'm understanding from you, when we were doing our speaking just before beginning the program, you do executive recovery coaching and are also an author. That's correct?
That is correct. My mission when I get up in the morning today is to assist management professionals that are struggling, as you mentioned a minute ago, with some of the compulsive or destructive behaviors. And it's really jeopardizing not only their careers, but it's also tearing apart marriages and creating broken families. So that's what I get up in the morning to do, is to work alongside men and women who are in management positions where it's not really safe for them to acknowledge to HR, to their superiors, that they're just battling.
Right. Yeah, and you're mentioning the executive because it's sort of the high performing alcoholics are in that realm because just being in the finance sector myself, you would be surprised how many people in my space are struggling with that and something that I have myself struggled with as well. So it's something that is very prevalent, even though you may not recognize it or you may not know it. It's sort of the invisible injury or the invisible illness, you might say.
Right. And what I refer to it is that mask that we hide behind too often.
Sure.
When I was in the financial services world, similar to what I believe you're doing today, on the outside, the image was everything's fine, but deep inside, I was just an emotional wreck, and my compulsive drinking was creating major challenges for my personal life, even though I would have said I was a, quote, functional alcoholic. Those two words don't really belong in the same sentence, I would say. True.
And so, as the program name implies, we speak about legacies here, and obviously for everyone that comes on the program and everyone listening, that's going to mean something different. For some, their legacy is a financial one. For others, their legacy is going to be an educational one. What are they teaching their children, or for people that are teachers. What are they teaching the next generation behind them? People that are coaches, what are they instructing? And so it's really a different thing for a different for per person. And so I like to refer to it as your story. It's how do you want to be known by the generations that are going to be coming behind us, so that they know who you were, what you cared about, what you're passionate about, the things that you loved, what you did to really affect positive change for those around you, and for those that come in contact with you, that they're better people for having known you. That being your story, and you wanting to tell it your way so that they get to hear all of that. What does having a legacy mean?
Well, I think that just the term legacy can mean many things to many different people. For me, as I'm fortunate to speak around the globe, I talk about significance, and here in North America, I'll say, at your funeral, what are you hoping somebody will say about you, or what do you want to be remembered for, or what individual or what group of people do you desire to be remembered for having an impact in their lives? For me, it was I had a great upbringing. I started drinking when I was 13. Even though I was a star athlete in high school, my dad was actually the mayor in the small rural Minnesota town where I grew up. So my legacy, I thought, was the American dream, which is to get a good education, marry the right woman, have a family, buy a house, and work for 40 years and retire and live happily thereafter. My path was a little bit more rocky than that. I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time I was 25, 26 years old. A long time ago, that was a lot of money. But my personal life was just chaos. And so as I worked through the progression of destruction in my life, I knew I was searching for something that I hadn't achieved. And by the time I was in my mid to late 30s, I was an executive of an electric and gas utility. I was overseeing a $125 million business unit, had a large 4,000 square foot home, drove a new Mercedes every 2 years. I had to obtain my pilot's license, so I had an airplane in the hangar, and I was a member of one of the nicest country clubs in the area in which I live. So I thought I had achieved everything that I had set out to do, but yet there was something missing. And in reference to your comment about what's my legacy, I really didn't have one as I turned 50, and I read a book called From Success to Significance by a gentleman who's now a friend of mine named Lloyd Reed. And it really was the aha moment for me was this. I thought I was in pursuit of money, or in pursuit of the things money could buy, when in reality I had accomplished all of that, but yet I still had this emptiness and this brokenness, and knew there had to be more, which is why I then actually retired early and sought out work in the human trafficking movement, also in alleviation of poverty here domestically. And then for the last 13 years, my wife and I have been leading an organization doing work in Haiti. So I've been actually involved in global poverty alleviation programs and working in that. So significance and legacy to me is something, if you would have told me 15 years ago, I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I'll say this to my friends, it may not be appropriate, but I would have said you're smoking crack because this is not my plan.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of is a very common story for a lot of people, that people are they're doing something for a period of time, but then like you pointed out, you had that aha moment, that sort of paradigm shift that kind of brings full circle, maybe where you came from and then where you're headed, and you start taking a different direction because you start seeing that there is a different course for your life. And that was even the case for me, because I was in IT doing data security and identity theft kind of stuff way back when in my past life. And so to go from that to finance, though there was a logical course of action at the time, people hearing the story now, they're like, okay, how'd you go from that to this? Because to many people, it doesn't make sense. But,
Right.
I did have that aha moment also that, really deep down, what I want to do is help people and protect people. And so, what better place to do that than to protect the very thing that helps hold your family together and provide for your family and protect your family. So, that's sort of how I ended up where I did. But now, when you're thinking about maybe your business, for example, for a moment here, is it a very deliberate conversation that you have with yourself about what a legacy means and how you incorporate that into your personal and business life? That you're going to do this because that's going to leave a lasting ripple on society?
Yeah, in the word that I use a lot is impact. So not only what is that legacy, or what do I want to be remembered for, but who and where can I actually affect an impact? And so as I'm dealing with executive level, mostly men, but a few women, I'm asking them that. Where do you believe you can make an impact, because you have the power, you have the passion, and your inspiration has maybe been suppressed, but how do we make an impact in today's world? There's too many of us, I think, that are sitting back, waiting for the government to do something, or waiting for other leaders to do something. When in reality, if we individually have a passion and we have a focus and we know our purpose, I think then each and every one of us can do our small part.
Yeah, and you made a point there that is really a profound one, and because I do have veterans that are listeners of the program as well. Yeah, you mentioned the government offering something or the government handing something. Yeah, that's a dangerous double-edged sword that a lot of people don't see, because if somebody can give it to you, they can also take it away.
Right.
And so, if you're wanting to have a legacy and be part of something bigger, don't let it rely and depend upon what you're getting from somebody else. You have to chart that course and be deliberate and intentional to where you're actually creating something and you're protecting something that no one can take away, because that really is the big thing. And there's so much brokenness in society, not just veterans, but across the board. So much brokenness and the scarcity mindset rather than the abundance mindset. And so that's something that is really huge in my world, is that I try to change perspectives and to change people's way of thinking, to where instead of thinking about, I only have this, look at it as, well, I'm blessed to have this, and change your mindset, because it's going to make all of the difference between whether you're climbing uphill or whether you're able to just slide through and have a much easier time at it.
Right. And what with the work that I've been fortunate to do in Haiti, and we've done a lesser amount of work in a couple of African nations, what I've observed is number one, I will never give up my U.S. passport, as critical as I may be of some operations and some programs that are creating dependability or dependence, basically. What I've observed in our long time efforts in Haiti is, we as Americans, and I would even extend that to we as North Americans and some Europeans, were well intentioned in our programs intended to help people, similar to what we've done with our welfare program here in the U.S. It was well-intentions that created some of these handouts. But what we've done, and I've observed this firsthand in Haiti, what we've done is we've created chronic dependency, and we've stolen the dignity of our Haitian brothers and sisters. So my goal in Haiti, and even some of the inner city work that I've done here in the U.S., my mission is really to eliminate that chronic dependency and restore the dignity of the people. And I think we as men and women who care about each other, I'm old enough to remember when the communities were such that if you had someone 3 doors down that didn't have a meal that night, sure as heck my mother or somebody else was going to make sure those kids were fed. And we've lost that sense of community in the United States.